Greetings and welcome. I'm Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you're doing well today. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at the new VPs or the nominees. And of course, Kamala Harris has just announced that Mr. Tim Walz will be her running mate. And what we'll do in this episode is look at who they are in relation to their future presidents. Right? And then we're going to do a matchup with the two of them and their respective parties and in relation to America. And before we get going, this is not a sponsored program. I do not know any of these people whatsoever. I'm not paid to say anything. This is my own opinion and for entertainment value only. Alright, so now we know who the two VPs are. And of course, each come from their respective parties. So let's start with Donald Trump and JD Vance and see where and how they match up and who they are in relation to each other. So interesting to note, Donald starts with the 14-5, and I'll just speak colloquially. Numerology sees us as individual human beings. 14-5, 14-5. Okay, so there's matches there. Alright, so let's have a look here. What other numbers connect these guys? So we note that Vance has a 22-4 in the date and year that he's born, and Donald has the 22-4. So this means, because they both have a 22-4, these are the planners, the master thinkers, the master planners. So this will go very well with Donald and JD Vance in that they can strategize together easily 22-4s, no problem. And let's see what else. So we've got Donald has double twos. He's got the 20 with an outcome 2 as well as the 11-2. And we note that JD Vance has the 2 in the day that he's born. So this means they can communicate quite easily. There is an emotional connection between the two of them. Of course, what they do is in the interest of the country, and they are connected. In fact, Donald has even more 2s, as we know. So these guys are actually connected, these two gentlemen, with 2s and 4s, and I'll come back to the 14-5 in a minute. But the 2s and 4s are very important, actually. Particularly the 4s. 4s is about administration. It is about facts and figures. It is actually about doing the right thing, 4s, and is about telling the truth with 4s. However, as mentioned, I'm on no sides. Both have a 14-5, so if twisting the truth helps, they will do it. So actually very good connection numbers between JD Vance actually and Trump with the 4s and 2s, very good. And they are connected with the 14-5. So these two will get along very well, obviously. In other words, this is not just putting JD Vance there because he's the face or whatever the situation is. I'm not getting into the rhetoric between them and Kamala. Some of it is appalling, I must admit. But from a connection point of view, these guys are actually very well connected. Very good connection. Now, if we go over to Kamala's camp, and with the announcement of Tim Walz as a running man or running mate. Oh, I just want to also mention with JD Vance, perhaps I'll bring it in when we compare the two of them. Both have a 10-1 in the day. And that is all about the government, organization. These are company men. They are here to toe the line. So if we look at, let me just zero from a previous reading. What do we have with Kamala and with Tim? So interestingly, they both have a 20 outcome 2. So these guys are actually more connected than we think, because when you have a connection in the year that you're born, especially when you fly on the same flag as the Democrats. So they connected 22 for the greater good of people, humanity, you might want to say. Very good emotional connection number there as well. So these guys will be connected in the twos as well. So good emotional connection. Even though it may appear, of course, they would know each other in the political circle, but very good connection with the twos. Also, we'll note that Kamala has the 33, 21, 3, 12, 3 combination, and that pings directly on Tim as well. So these guys are very connected as well. 10-1 connection there with Kamala as well. So these two also very connected. If we had to compare the two birthdays, and this by no means diminishes anyone's capability. We know he's a sitting governor, I believe, governor of Minnesota. But if you want to talk about scale, and of course American politics affects all of us, and that's why there's an interest in this, and that Kamala's numbers, although these are very strong connection, she then continues to go on with the 50, with the outcome 5, big numbers. She has the 20, 30, 10, and 50. 50 in a political sense is the big political stage. So on one hand, both of course can handle any situation. But the next level situation, Kamala possesses that in that 50 with an outcome 5. That would give her the edge over Tim in a way. So in both cases, good connection numbers, so no Hong Kong partnerships or partnerships of convenience. Of course, there is a measure, but well connected with their potential presidents. Okay, so good choices in that regard. Now, what we're going to do is look at the combination of Vance and Walz in relation to their parties and in relation to the country, United States, right? So if we look at JD first and we look in relation to the Republican Party, Vance shares the same outcome as the Republican Party, 32-5, 23-5, 14-5. So this tells me he is fully invested in the well-being of his party, and it coincidentally also matches the outcome of the US. Strong connection there. All about the party, all about the US. Okay. And then what other numbers? So, of course, he has the 5. So the 5 would ping here. We note the party also has a 2, which connects with JD. So he has an emotional connection to the party. I mean, you can't be putting up the party fight if you aren't committed, right? And we note the 2 also in the US number. So JD Vance very connected to the profile of the US as well. Let's see what other numbers. I don't see any other numbers. So in relation to the US, he is connected in the outcome of the US as well. He also has the 4s, and the US has a 4. Facts and figures, processes, procedures, administration. So very good connection numbers with the US on JD's side. I don't see any other issues. So he's got quite a lot of good connections there. So if I just zero it here for the purpose of looking at Mr. Tim. So Tim and his party, how do they connect? So of course he's got the 10-1 in the middle. Nice operational number, team player. It has a 10-1 outcome for the Democrats. So good connection there. So all these 10-1s pretty much will light up for him. all about the business, all about the organization, all about the government. 189, let's see what other numbers connect him here. So the 1 will connect him to the party as well. So I would say, if I had to colloquially say, Tim Walz is the party tower. He's there for the party. Not very many connection numbers at the human heart, emotional level. And of course, what he does will have to come with some kind of passion to convince people. Now, if we look at the profile for the US for him, so he's got the 2s. So 11, 2 with an outcome 2 gives him a 2. And he's got the 2 in the year that he's born. He's got the 4 in the April. And the 4 in the US. Of course, he has the 21-3, so that is actually a very significant connection there. With the 23 in the year that the US is founded, has the 21-3, so he has the 21-3s, and then of course the 3s will apply. I'm not here to judge. So what is his connection? So there is an emotional connection with the 2s, 4s, and the 3s. But doesn't necessarily speak about the outcome of the US, which is, in my opinion, is actually more important. Because then he has a vested interest in the outcome of the country. So there we have the matches. Of course, JD matches a lot more with the US. And then, of course, Tim does have enough connections, or has the 1 connection in the party that he represents, very 1s and 0s. So those are your 2 VP lineups. And I will just say, if we had to go back to this slide here. So we'll also note that the 32-5, 23-5, 14-5. Now, I've matched the 2 president nominees in the previous episode, but we'll also note that J.D. Vance has a similar outcome as Kamala there as well. But I can tell you something, based on the numbers, the outcome that J.D. Vance has, or the numbers that he has, is quite capable of taking on Kamala Harris. And this can become a little bit nasty, and I'll explain why. When you have, and some of his comments have been quite horrendous, but be that as it may, mudslinging all the way till the final day, right? So the issue here, what we have in the J.D. Vance having the same identical outcome as Kamala Harris is and can cause a problem. In that, if he attacks her, she will attack. If she attacks, he will attack. The problem is, and it's like this in a relationship, and I was meant to speak about this in the recent case that I did, the staircase murders. Because the couple had 2 5s, or they were both 5s, life path, right? What tends to happen with people with life path 5s and they're in a relationship together? And please just make a note that there are other numbers that need to be taken into consideration in this, let's say, blanket statement that I'm going to make about people in a relationship with 5s. Now, these 2 aren't necessarily in a relationship, but we know they're going to be talking about each other for the rest of their lives until the end of the elections every day. The problem when you have 2 people with the same numbers like this, and particularly in a relationship, they stir each other's pot. They will create conflict with each other. It's like putting two scorpions in a pit together, and we expect nothing to happen, right? Wrong. So the issue here is, and this is, I believe, if I just had to gauge a sense of what's happened over the last month or so, is that JD Vance is coming out with the nasty stuff. And let me tell you, with the 14, 5, and 5, he doesn't mind at all. Now, remember in the previous reading, I said, Kamala mustn't come on stage, and let's just be fair, why not if she does? But I'm just saying, when the territory becomes hostile and the battlefield lines are drawn, she will have to rely on that, 14-5. Because as much as JD Vance is going to give her, she can take it. That's what I also like about her numbers. She can take all the bullshit coming away. And she has the capacity and fortitude to return it in a very soft way. So, summary is the Republicans and Democrats have a very good matchup here. And this is going to be right till the end day of voting and counting, that these guys are well equipped to take on each other. And even I'll just dare say that if Donald has to step away for a day for whatever reason, JD Vance can step up, no problem. He has very similar numbers to Trump as well. So let's hope for a peaceful, debatable new presidency in the US, and may the best team win. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your thoughts are. I do love engaging with your comments. Please stay safe, stay alert, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.